Welcome back to the International Training Institute of Health Masterclass. And what we're going to be discussing in today's show is we're going to be talking about neck conditions. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know anybody that doesn't have a neck condition because this is a terrorized nation. And where stress really hits is in your neck. And if you were to learn how to stay connected to your breath, the lion heart breathing, and you really were to practice the Braveheart 12 loving steps, and you had a non-inflammatory diet, then you would not have neck problems. But we're going to have neck problems as long as we feel that our life is threatened, as long as we feel that our business is threatened, our home is threatened, that we have any type of threat in our life. So until we get rid of dysfunctional beliefs that run us, then our neck is always going to be tight, right? You know, I don't know what you're talking about, Daryl. I just don't know. You know, people get so intense and then they leave their shoulders up, and you'll always find it's called the occiput, right at the top where the spine goes in to the brainstem, and that usually gets frozen. And that is cervical 1 and cervical 2. And one is called atlas and one is called axis, and they're supposed to move. They don't move anymore with people. So when they get frozen, they cut down the circulation. When you cut down the circulation, you get crystallization, calcium deposits, scar tissue in here. There's two bumps right here on the back of your head. We'll be talking about that when we actually show you the treatment. And with me, they're smooth, but with a lot of people, they're like bumps. They're bumps. And we call these the eyes. And that's where you have so much stress and tension in here, and it causes major problems. And understand something. A lot of people feel like they've had a whiplash that never had a whiplash. Yeah. You know, a lot of people have a stiff neck. And we always have to take a look at, why do you have a stiff neck? Why aren't you flexible? Maybe you're not flexible emotionally, but also we do know it's diet. We do know it's the wrong exercises, doing contractual exercises all the time.
Lifting heavy,
on a computer without, all those things.
And a big thing too, of course, is the emotions that get stored in this area. That's one of the biggest things we see, and a lot of the times it is family stress.
Okay, so here's your significant other, right here. Stands for L, and sometimes it's not love. And then here on this side would be what? What is it?
That would be more so your mother and your children.
And your family.
Yeah.
So other things going on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But significant other usually stands for right here.
Yeah.
All right. So kind of play with that. Look at that. And just keep your eyes open, your ears open.
People are breathing down your neck a lot, or you're always looking over, trying to
That's right.
see who's looking at you.
I wish I had eyes in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of those emotions are attached with it. But the reality is you have what's called a vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve comes right from out here and runs down your neck. And that's why we tell you to do the belly button therapy, which we're going to be showing, right? We're going to actually do that. But that vagus nerve gets frozen. And when that gets frozen, you're going to have stiff necks forever. Because when that vagus nerve gets frozen into a sympathetic state, which means fight, fright, flight, that means that you're not ever going to be in a total rest, repair, peaceful state ever again. And we go in there and we unlock the vagus nerve, don't we?
Yep.
And then we show you techniques on how to unlock it yourself, because it does get locked up. Do you know people that are always anxious, always have anxiety? They're always like, you know what? And then they go to bed, they're exhausted, but they can't sleep. Well, this is who we're talking about. Okay? So there's no tiger. It's an invisible, illusionary tiger. And the problem is, at least when there was tigers, we were running. We would get rid of the chemicals and like the adrenaline and the cortisol. We'd burn it all off. Today, we just get stressed out and sit, and that eats away at us. And it's just like,
yeah, we're doing all the wrong things when we're stressed now. We should be burning off the stress and working at figuring out how we can stop that stress response, instead of just, like Sage was saying, if most people eat their stress away.
So here's the deal. So what's eating at you? So you have to understand that all your prominent beliefs, they run your life. That's your personality. Your personality equates to your prominent beliefs. So how's that shaken out? I hope it's shaken out beautifully, that you say, I have a beautiful day every day. I'm never stressed out. And when things do happen, I just stay connected to my breath and I don't freak out. I just stay calm. I don't have a reaction. I just take action and stay peaceful. And then I decide what I'm going to do. So understand something, and this is usually not happening, and I'll tell you why. Because people have the belief that life is unsafe. Their family's unsafe. What's going to happen? And there's a lot of terrorism out there, and it's all make-believe. That goes into us. And remember that if you have negative emotions, those negative emotions become negative beliefs. Those negative beliefs become negative programs. And those programs want to be fed. That's why you keep going to yourself, why do I keep doing that? Why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why did I eat that? Why did I drink that? Why did I treat her like that? Because you're not in charge. The beliefs are, and they want to be fed. So you're going to keep repeating the same thing if it's loving actions or if it's hate actions, okay? Because there's only love and there's hate. So understand the beliefs that are most prominent in you, you fed them, they grew up, and now they're going to eat you if they're bad ones. Okay.
All right, so we're going to talk about a couple neck conditions in today's episode. The first one we're going to talk about is whiplash. Whiplash is a neck injury due to forceful, rapid back and forth movement of the neck, like the cracking of a whip. Whiplash most often occurs during a rear end auto accident, but the injury can also result from sports accidents, physical abuse, or other trauma.
Or even a rave. You know, people will come in that went and did like a 2 or 3 day rave where they do drugs and they just do this, right? And they come in and they go, you got to work on my neck. Oh my gosh, what happened? Oh, I don't know, man. I was just dancing. Like, well, what do you mean just dancing?
Oh.
Yeah, for 3 days.
Yeah, even just one night out dancing.
For 3 days.
I danced for 3 days.
Well, I'd be feeling like that too.
Yeah. Well, even just one night of dancing
one
and
night
you're
of
whipping your
dancing,
head
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
If you're like, woo, just like letting real loose, yeah, your neck is going to get real loose and then real tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some causes, of course, injury caused by a severe jerk to the head, typically in a motor vehicle accident, is what the medical system is saying is the cause of whiplash, which is definitely accurate. You could even have it from, like they were saying, sporting accidents. Like I know soccer, but heading the ball all the time.
Okay, how about skiing downhill? How about water skiing? How
Just
about
like rugby and football, guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like going to the major issues, like people get their necks broken in those sports.
Yeah.
Like that's, it's not those sports aren't taken lightly. Like people are like kind of like, oh yeah, it's a contact sport. You're getting hit.
Now, I will tell you that, yes, but I will tell you that people aren't getting the right therapy. That, after, you want to, if that happens, you want to make sure you keep the inflammation down as much as possible.
Totally.
Right? And
Athletes
then after
really
the...
need to make sure they're doing proper care.
This one guy in the NFL was going off not too long ago about all these anti-inflammatory pills that I take just to kind of keep my muscles down, and just kind of showing like he was just kind of going through his daily dose, like his diet and his like regimen.
Yeah.
And he's like saying like he had like 3 different anti-inflammatory pills that he would take just to wake up in the morning.
And these are medications, not supplements.
No, this is just medications from
Okay.
the medical system. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, believe it or not, we could take that person and we could show them how to get off of these and still keep his muscle, still keep his bulk, and we could just turn him around. The biggest thing is even in these big professional teams, they really don't. Their sports medicine people are not great.
They don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing.
Well, they're trained
And
medically
This
too.
is what
Yeah.
it's what
They don't know what they're doing.
They know what to do with what they know how to do,
Yeah.
which isn't much in all honesty.
Yeah, it isn't. And you know what? We'll say that and we'll put that on YouTube. We're going to put this everywhere because that's the reality.
Every treatment though has a place somewhere. But I'm saying when it comes down to certain things like that, those teams really need somebody like us working in there.
Yeah,
They do.
seriously.
Yeah, they need
The
to know.
longevity of an athlete's career.
But I
would
also
be
worked on
like
a guy
10 times.
and he's a professional football player, and he said like I wouldn't even want this out there though, because then people would be getting better,
Yeah.
and then like that brings more competition, and so it's like the injuries are where they make their money too.
Yeah, we work on professional sports players, and when we do work on them, they ask us not to tell anybody else and not to let anybody else know on the team.
Yeah.
So we have to honor them with that because I guess it's, game
first
on.
come, first serve.
It's,
Yeah.
it's game on.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, but the reality is, I was working on one football player, and he's well known, and he had a knee injury, and they said it was going to take him like 6 months before his knee injury, and I did one treatment on him.
Mhm.
Okay, so you can get one ligament that's frozen and calcified that doesn't want to move, and you feel like you're going to tear it. So just go in there and lovingly loosen that up, pull it apart, get the circulation in. It's
Yeah.
game on.
Yeah, with what we do, it can take one treatment. With the way that other therapies are
Yeah.
doing it, for sure, it's going to take 4 to 6 months for that to heal on its
Exactly.
own.
Like anybody can have a contracted muscle.
You have to understand something, that with whiplash, you do need to go in and work on them. You wouldn't work on them in the first, 24 hours
Yeah,
to
3
even
days, 72 hours.
Yeah, up to that, 24 to 72.
You want
Well,
the
it depends on the
inflammation to go
whiplash.
down.
healing rate and
Like
depends
for
on
when
how severe it
I was just in a car accident, I waited a week until I had anything done besides doing things that I could do myself to bring down the inflammation. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to get any deep work done because it was very inflamed, and I wanted
Yeah,
to
so
make
you don't
sure
do
was
that.
done.
Let the inflammation come down, and then go in and then start relieving yourself of the scar tissue, the glicky, sticky fibers that are going to stick the C1 and C2 together and freeze up. And if you freeze up and you keep trying to move, you're continually inflaming it. So that's the problem. All this
Yeah.
micro inflammation that you don't feel is just continually drizzling in fibrin in there until you're in lockdown. And you can get enough fibrin sent up here to actually cut off the blood supply to your brainstem.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. You go up into here, into this notch right here, and you're going to find in most people so much crystallization and scar tissue, and it's actually cutting down their blood flow.
Yeah.
So we know that they've had damage, and we can go in and just clean that out. And the only thing you're going to have, oh yeah, it's a little bit tender. It's not bad. It's good. And then we're going to go in here, and we're going to go in between the C1 and C2 and loosen that up. And then, like I talked about the upper eyes here, we're going to bring all those bands down where all the muscles come up and turn into tendons, and those tendons hook up into the occiput. We're going to loosen all that up. So, and then we're going to, we go in between the vertebrae, get rid of the calcium deposits, get rid of the crystallization, and get rid of the scar tissue. And nobody does this. Nobody does this. And when you need to go take a look at the whiplash treatment and see what we do, where we open up the neck so we can get right in there. And then first we'll work transversely, then horizontally, and we'll just clean that neck out, and it'll just go flop and open right up. And we're talking about, I don't care how often you've been to the chiro, how much massage you've had, how much physio, how much acupuncture you've had. Give us 20 minutes, okay? Because that's the difference. When you start untying your spinal column and you allow those vertebrae to have the movement that they used to have, and when you work in the neck and you allow the pads to then get their fluid back in and that sponginess, well, then it's back to game on.
Yeah.
Because there's your suspension. It's like riding a car and you took the suspension out. You're going to be just banging,
Bang,
banging,
bang.
banging. And that's what life is going to feel like. And we can bring that back. All right.
Next, we have torticollis and wry neck, a condition in which the head comes persistently turned to one side, often associated with painful muscle spasms. The medical system says the cause is injury to the neck or spine, causing the muscles to spasm, infection of the head or neck, where inflammation causes the muscles to contract, abscesses in the throat or upper airway, infections of other body parts of the body, such as ears, sinuses, jaws, teeth, or scalp.
Do you see how everything just, inflammation just moves around, just spreads around? But I want to tell you this, you know what? They're not right, because actually it's constant stress. It's constant stress, and it's wear and tear movement. Like the person could be a painter. They could be doing cleaning, okay? So it's constant stress. Even just the mouse on this side, if you're not drinking water, getting tons of blue light, it all adds up. So I'm going to tell you a story here. So a lady comes in, and she cleans houses. And she says, I've been everywhere. Nobody can help me. And she's got torticollis, wry neck. And guess what? She's got it so bad that she has a bump here, a knot. And that knot was sticking out a half an inch from her neck, right here. And it was about an inch long and right in the middle. And I said, that's not a problem. I'll be able to take care of that. So then we get her in the chair. And then what I do is I'll let the camera look at this. So the first thing I do is I go down to her C7. Okay, and that's that bump that you feel at the bottom. Okay, C7, cervical 7. And I go in and I clean the whole thing out around C7. And then she goes, stop it. That's not the bump. You're working on the wrong place. And I go, just relax. Let me show you something. So I work on C7, then I go up here to what we call the upper eyes, and I work on this right here, just above where the occiput is, okay? Behind the ear. I worked on here and here.
Origin and insertion.
And by the time I was done, I said, now feel your neck. Oh my gosh, where is it? Where is it? It was gone because I untied the knots. So then what I did, then I took her off the chair and we put her down and we had her put her neck over my knee. And then I went in and I worked where the knot was, and you couldn't feel the knot, but then I went in between the vertebrae, and in between the vertebrae was a calcium deposit. Calcium deposit was about the size of a small pea. And I went in there and it took me maybe about 5-10 minutes, maybe longer. I'm not sure. It's been a while.
Yeah,
and I went in it
5 years ago.
Yeah, and we got that broken up, and that's it. Party's on.
Yep.
So now she's back to work. She thought she was gonna. I can't afford to be off work.
That was one treatment. She never had to get it done again.
Never again. And that's a true story. And we have tons of true stories like this. So understand something.
And if you want to see some of those true stories, though, just go to the Doc of Detox and look at the testimonials.
Yeah, we got testimonials.
Yeah.
They're all on YouTube, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll see testimonials on our certifications. You'll see testimonials on people that come to take our courses, our personal treatment and training,
Just to treat
walk-in treatments. They're all there.
You'll see it all.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So that wraps up the neck.
Yeah.
And we are really excited to show you how we actually do our neck treatment, because it is the most amazing
There
thing
is
that you
nothing
can
like this.
possibly do to your neck. It feels so good, and it's going to not only improve your range of motion, it's going to improve your pain and inflammation throughout your whole upper back and neck.
Sore throats.
Sore throats. It's going to help with hearing,
Shoulder problems.
seeing.
Hearing problems. Seeing problems. That's right. And it doesn't end there. It does not end there, because your neck is housing, okay, all your whole spinal column. And that's got to be opened up. We open this up. And guess what? How would you like to find yourself going, wow, I haven't felt this relaxed for so long? Well, yeah, because before you were in a sympathetic state. We just released your vagus nerve, and now you're back to calm and peaceful.
That's right. And next episode, we are going to be talking all about arthritis. So definitely check that out. We did talk about arthritis throughout a couple different treatments, but we're really going to just hone in and talk just about arthritic conditions throughout the whole body.
Because guess what? That's what it's all about. Remember what we said? The secrets lie in the joints. And what's the most problem with every joint? Arthritis, which is what?
Inflammation within the joints.
That's all it is. Inflammation in the joints. Okay. All right.
So let's really address this matter.
Okay.
So
all right.
tune in for that.
All right. See you in our next show.
Thanks
okay?
for watching.
Bye now. Welcome back to the International Training Institute of Health Bodywork Masterclass. And what we're going to be showing you today is we're going to show you the most powerful technique on the neck. We're not talking about an adjustment. We're not talking about acupuncture. We're not talking about acupressure. We're talking about going into the neck and relieving the neck of the crystallization, the scar tissue formation, and the calcification that is the root of all the problem. You can go in and massage the neck. You can do some physio stretching or a little bit of electrodes or do something like that. But trust me, of all the parts of the body that will get beef jerky like scar tissue and knots and crystallization and calcification, Nothing gets it more than the neck, because the neck picks up the terror, when your shoulders are up. People do not realize how tense they are. Everybody has a neck problem to a certain degree, unless they get Wolfe deep tissue, because we go in and we work on and in between every vertebrae. Did you hear what I said? We go between every vertebrae. We clean off the vertebrae. We go between the vertebrae. Once you've done that, you've restored the neck, because the difference between someone young and someone older is the amount of crystallization, scar tissue, and calcium that's in the neck. Hey, look, when's the last time you said, oh my God, there's a knot in my neck? And every time you get stressed out, you have the same pain in your neck. Now, when you get stressed out, you get the pain in your neck because you get it actually gets inflamed. When it gets inflamed, it pushes on the nerve, and that creates the pain. We're going to tell you that that's over today, aren't we?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So take it away, and let's we're not going to go through all the steps, but I will tell you, there is no more thorough clinic or therapy in the world that goes in and can turn around, and I mean any neck problem, any neck problem. And we have a money-back guarantee to prove that.
Definitely.
So let's go through it.
All right. So first, I'm going to just talk about some of the emotional traumas that can get trapped in the neck. So emotionally driven anxiety, or putting the weight of the world on your shoulders. It can be linked to family stress, all in which affects the primary muscles and nerves running through the spine, shoulders, and neck. And so a lot of the times it might be on the left side of your neck. It could be more your mother, children, or more family orientated things. And then on the right hand side, it would be more like relationship things with your dominant partner. So I guess we'll get to the therapy, or does anybody have any input on the emotional side of things?
That's great.
Okay,
that's great.
Let's get to it. So of course, like we've mentioned in all of our treatment videos, just to make sure you go watch our pre and post care video, because we go through the entire pre-treatment that we do, which is a half hour long, and it's absolutely incredible for putting the body into a parasympathetic state, so that way we're really able to get into all of the tissues very easily and give the best results for our clients.
And just understand that all of our body work, when we show certain all the parts of the body, there's 3 parts to this. The first part is going over the medical definition and what they do, and the natural, what we do, right? And then the next would be looking at the care we do, the pre and post, and then the body work. So there's 3 different videos that come together with each body part. So make sure that you do them in the right order, so that you can really get a grasp of what we're trying to teach.
Yeah. All right. So with the neck, we have a couple different ways that we do it. We're just going to talk about it with Genevieve lying on the table like this, but we do have a massage chair that we use to really begin the neck work, so that we can really open and loosen everything up before we move on to positions like this.
Yeah. And if I can say something, we've got 4 positions that we do with the neck on a table. We have 2 positions on the chair. And then we have another position when we're on a chair and the client patient is sitting comfortably on a pillow on the floor, that we have actually another 6 positions. So we come from every angle, and we get every nook, every cranny, and we clean that up, okay? So we clean everything up. This is not just a wham bam thing, or just like this, or working and getting one little knot. When we go in to do a neck, we go into the neck and we create freedom between every vertebrae.
From C7 to C1.
Yep, from C7 to C1 and everything in between. Okay.
All right. So with the chair treatment, we would release the occipital ledge and the 3 eyes of the back of the head. So I'll let Sage
the 3 eyes of the back of the head that we were talking about. So right behind the ears, we're going to come back just to that occipital ledge. So if you ever put your finger behind the back of your neck, drag your finger up your neck until you feel that like ledge of the skull bone, and that's going to be the occipital groove. And so you have on either side of the spine, you're going to have 2 almost like kind of circular nodules. Those will be the eyes of the upper head, and then the third eye of the upper head is right where C1 is, and that goes into the brainstem, and then the third eye is in the front of your face. And if you went through all the way to the back, that's exactly what we're talking about. So like 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So your eyes connect, these eyes connect to your occipital eyes, and then your third eye connects to the notch, basically where your brain stem connects to your spine. So we would start with that, and we would use a very pinpoint technique and being very, very thorough, because this is the holy grail to opening up the occiput to allow that spinal fluid to flow into the brain. After we do that, we would work with an inch-by-inch technique on the spine, and we want to go vertically with a pinpoint technique from C1, and then we work all the way down to C7.
So that's literally coming directly on top of the spine, and you're going to be working vertically with a very light pinpoint technique. So you're moving very slow along top of the spine, just feeling for any little bits of calcium buildup or crystallization.
Yeah, it's just very superficial, shaving those layers off to really prepare the spine for the work. And then we would go in with a precise pinpoint scaling technique and really go in between each vertebrae to restore each disc.
So I'd be coming directly on straight from C1 down to C7, and depending on the severity of it, you can work your way back up, depending on how much time you have. And then I would change my angle so I'm actually coming in between each vertebrae. And so pretend my knuckles are a vertebrae. You want to come in, on top, and over each one of the vertebrae.
Yeah, and you're not just going in, you're cleaning off the edge of all the bone. You're doing your scaling technique, and you're cleaning this all off, right?
So a lot of the times
that's the key.
Yeah, a lot of the times you're getting that crystallization in between each vertebrae, and that's just causing like a sandpaper effect and just breaking down those discs. So we really want to get in there and melt those crystallization pieces and get rid of the displaced calcium so that it can go back into the bones.
And look, I'm telling you, from whiplash to torticollis, wry neck, people with all different types of problems and that have had them for years. I'll tell you a really short story, well, as short as I can. A gentleman from Utah, and he had migraines so bad, okay? And they were really bad. So they wanted to cut. This is the last thing they were going to do, remember?
I remember this,
They were going to actually cut the nerves in his neck so that he would have no feeling anymore, but that would also take the feeling out of his right arm. And they said, don't worry, you won't have that pain in here anymore. So anyways, they came up, and I know you're not going to believe this, but it actually, Abby, did it take me, Sage, you guys were there, did it take me 15, 20 minutes, okay? 15, 20 minutes, and we got it out. He had a calcification scar tissue knot right here, right up at C1, C2, and it was causing the migraines. And he actually went to the doctor and said, what about this lump here? And they said, well, we could cut it off. And it took me about 20 minutes or 25 minutes, and I had the thing gone. And he came with a migraine, and he left with no migraine, but he came for the week, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because him and his wife came to learn the whole technique. But in reality, it didn't take long.
No, and the crazy thing is he didn't want to get the nerves cut or burnt. He was ready to end his life.
Yeah, he was going to end his life. He wasn't going to get it cut. He wanted to do the deal. So understand something. The neck is way more in depth than this. We have all these different positions and all these different moves, but we're not here to teach it. We're here to show you that, you know what? Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on life. And when they tell you out there that there's no more, you're at the end, or you've gone to this therapist or this doctor so many times, we're just trying to tell you that there's another option, right?
Definitely.
And then, what's the home care? Well, when we're done, they're going to use the Bioptron. They're going to use the Avicen again. We're going to do the
pelvic expansion.
The pelvic, expansion. Still, we're going to do that with everybody. Doesn't matter the treatment. And when they go home, we'll be doing some DMSO, some essential oil therapy. We hope that they'll they'll get some of the
Embrace.
equipment and
Yeah.
bring it home, but if they don't,
Patting and clapping.
then
we'll
we're
be
going to
teaching
teach them the
that.
patting and clapping and
Epsom salt scrubs.
Yeah.
skin brushing.
And vascular flushing. You
Yeah.
name it, we're going to give you every tool that you possibly
That's
need to
it.
fix whatever is going on in your body that needs fixing.
Yeah. And understand something. If you watch any of the other body parts, you're going to pick up on different things because we're not going to go through everything every time. Okay? But there's so many videos on our website,
Oh, yeah.
so much information on our website that, we put it all out there for you to observe and judge and decide what you want to do. And just know something, that as soon as you take personal action and you understand that self-care is the only health care, then look for a new life because you're going to have it.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have the life you've always dreamed of.
Yep. And look you'll be able to
The life you deserve.
shoulder check again.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Oh my gosh. There
Yeah.
you go.
The neck treatment, honestly, is one of the most powerful treatments ever. Everybody that I know of has some sort of neck problem. I don't think I know anybody who doesn't struggle with a little bit of neck pain
little
here
bit,
and there
yeah.
because everybody's either sitting at a desk
Didn't we
all
work
day.
on your neck this morning?
We just did work on my neck this morning, and let me tell you, it's a million times better than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. And understand something. Don't be afraid to ask for help because guess what? There's no better
Silence
gift
is the killer.
and there's no better gift in the world than to giving. Okay,
Yep.
so we're going to give you as much as we can to show you where the water is. Okay, thank you for joining us.
This is the neck treatment, and stay tuned for our next one.
For the next show,
Thanks for watching.
here we go.